What's going on, everyone? TL Branson here, and today we're going to be talking about A Court of Silver Flames. I got mine in a box. You want to open it? See what we got? And here we go. Wow, this is definitely a beefy book. I knew that it was going to be pretty big. I looked at the dimensions on Amazon and it said it was like over 2 inches, which is one of the largest books that I've ever got. Just to show you kind of how thick this is. This is what we are looking at. A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. Now let's compare A Court of Silver Flames to some other big books. Here it is up against Child of Blood and Bone. You can see here that it is quite a bit thicker. How about A Sky Beyond the Storm? Or perhaps the best comparison is Crescent City. I thought that was a beefy book. When I first got Crescent City and I had to figure out how to hold this thing in my hands, it was like I'm reading out of a phone book. But this book is even thicker. How much thicker, you ask? Check this out right here. That is a clear 1/4 of an inch larger for A Court of Silver Flames over Crescent City. Now, A Court of Silver Flames is only 700 some pages, and Crescent City, on the other hand, is 900 some pages. So what gives? I'm going to imagine that the pages are either a little bit thicker so that they're not so paper thin like Bible material, or I'm going to assume that the text on the inside is a little bigger. Let's take a look and check. So it does appear that A Court of Silver Flames is a little bit of both. The pages did feel a tad bit thicker than Crescent City, and the font seemed just a little bit larger. And so that was probably to make it a little easier to read on the eyes and to the fingers, but it also makes the book a little thicker. So you have to take that into consideration. So how does it stack up? Well, here is a full list of all the really big books that I own. And as you can see, A Court of Silver Flames is the largest. Now, when you're looking at it like this, it really is kind of hard to gauge the size of the books. But how about if we add a small book like Enchantment and Ravens to the top? Now the sizing begins to make a little bit more sense. These books are huge, and they're really starting to hurt my arm just holding them like this. So I'm going to put them down now. Well, clearly you just saw me open this book, but I'm already on chapter 5. How do you say? Well, it probably doesn't take too much to think about it, but I have the audiobook, and I've been listening to the audiobook off and on all day. 2 hours in, and what are my thoughts? I'm not going to share any spoilers, but I do feel like I really don't connect with Nesta all that much. She's supposed to act like she's got some crazy PTSD and things. Okay, so her father died. That's gonna be a bad experience. But our YA fantasy characters experience stuff like that all the time, and nobody else really acts the way that Nesta does. Feyre lost her father too. Elaine lost her father too, and you don't see them acting like Nesta does. And the way that Nesta is acting to me, I mean, they make it seem like she's suffering in some way, but she doesn't really act that way at all. I don't know. I can't really explain it. I'm just having a really hard time understanding what's the big deal with Nesta. Now, don't tear into me. I understand what Sarah J. Maas is going for here. But I just feel like it was executed a little poorly so far. Now, I'm not going to judge too much. I'm only 5 chapters into the book. But I just think that Nesta's being a whiny baby. That's how I feel. Now, I'm not saying that Feyre is acting any better. In fact, when Feyre sent Nesta to the House of Wind, she was being kind of a jerk too. Now, I realize that Nesta is being the bigger jerk and Feyre is just kind of at her wit's end, but when she's telling Nesta the reasons why she needs to get her act together, the main reason that Feyre comes up with is because you're making us look bad. And if we can't control you, how can we run a country? That That's Feyre's main reasoning for why Nesta needs to get her act together. Not because she loves her sister or her sister needs to snap out of it or she needs some tough love or she needs love. I don't know what Feyre thinks that Nesta needs, but what Feyre is giving her is not what Nesta needs. And so I'm a little bit annoyed at both Nesta and Feyre when it comes to this whole thing. So those are my thoughts at first blush. So how far along are you? Tell me in the comments and let me know how you think it's going so far. I look forward to chatting with you. Of course, you can also join us at the Court of Silver Flames special event in the YA Fantasy Addicts Facebook group. If you want to see more content like this and you'd like me to share more of my thoughts on A Court of Silver Flames, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already done so. It'll really help me out. We'll see you again next time.